Why does the commercial feed industry rely on the winter egg drop to sell you expensive, synthetic, high-protein rations when a specific biological engine started in February can completely replace your winter feed bill? By weaponizing the late winter frost seeding window and starting long-season storage crops before the ground even thaws, you can bypass the commercial feed mill entirely, creating a closed-loop winter pantry that physically forces your flock to generate their own body heat and lay eggs right through the darkest months of the year. First up, gizzard grind reality. Chickens aren't designed to live on powdered pellets. Their gizzard is a muscular mill built to crush whole grains into usable fuel. The carbohydrate engine starts right here in late February when you take advantage of the frost seeding window. By broadcasting whole grains, oats, barley, or wheat directly onto frozen soil, you let the freeze-thaw cycle pull seeds deep into the cracks. No tilling, no waiting for spring mud. This simple act sets up a living feed pantry that powers your flock's gizzard all year. Fast carbs from whole grains are the first thing your hens need to generate heat and keep laying when the cold hits, replacing the cheap corn filler in commercial rations. Without this engine running, every other winter crop falls short. The gizzard's grind is your biological edge over the feed mill's bagged dust. Number 1. Spring oats, Avena sativa, are your February fast start for the carbohydrate engine. When you broadcast whole oat seed onto frozen ground, you're not waiting on spring mud or fancy equipment. Oats germinate at just 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, waking up under the melting snow before most weeds even think about sprouting. In about 40 days, you'll have a lush green stand ready for your chickens to graze long before the grass comes in. This is the first real energy surge your flock gets after winter rationing. Oats fill the carb gap that commercial feed usually patches with cheap corn. Toss them thick, about 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet, right as the freeze-thaw cycle cracks the soil. No tilling, no fuss. The result is a living feed pantry your hens can harvest themselves, or you can cut and store as whole plants. Whole oats give your birds the gizzard grind they're built for, not the powdered filler from a bag. Number 2. Forage barley, Hordeum vulgare, is the gentle giant of the carbohydrate engine. If you want a cereal that is easy on your bird's gizzards, barley is your answer. It germinates just above freezing, making it perfect for a February frost seed right when the ground still crunches under your boots. Barley's cold, hardy cultivars shrug off late snaps that would stunt lesser grains, so your stand comes up thick even when spring drags its feet. What sets barley apart isn't just its toughness, it's the way it digests. The hulls are softer than wheat or rye, and the starches break down fast in the gizzard, delivering steady energy without the grain bloat that slows hens down. For dual-purpose flocks, you get both green forage for early grazing and plump seed heads by midsummer. Barley shines as a 6-day fodder sprout too. Just soak, drain, and let the shoots grow for a living, enzyme-rich feed in winter. This is how you keep the carb engine running clean, without the grit and grind that comes from feed mill dust. Number 3. Cereal rye, Sacale cereale, is the backbone grain when you want absolute cold insurance for your flock's feed pantry. Rye germinates at temperatures barely above 0 degrees Celsius, and it shrugs off winter lows down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. That means you can broadcast it in February, even when the ground is frozen solid, and still count on a dense green stand come spring. But with that resilience comes a warning: ergot. Unlike barley or oats, rye's open pollination makes it a magnet for this toxic fungus, especially after cool, wet springs. Every homesteader planting rye for chickens needs to master the ergot checklist. Start with certified hybrid seed, not old field-saved grain. After harvest, shake out a sample on a white tray and scan for black sclerotia, long dark kernels, often twice the size of normal rye. Break one open. A dusty white center means ergot, not just dirt. If you spot more than 5 per liter, or over 0.1% by weight, do not feed it, compost it, or dilute it down. For full peace of mind, send a sample to a local extension laboratory for alkaloid testing. Rye's toughness is unmatched, but safe feeding means vigilance at every step. If you want a cold-proof carbohydrate reserve, Rye delivers. Just never skip the safety screen. Number 4. Spring wheat, Triticum estivum, is your insurance policy when the winter wheat window has closed. Planted as soon as the ground thaws in February or March, spring wheat skips the vernalization requirement and heads straight for grain. What you get are dense, golden wheat berries, each one a compact packet of energy, 340 calories per 100 grams, according to USDA data. Unlike rye, you avoid the ergot drama entirely, and compared to barley or oats, wheat stores cleaner and longer. Dry the berries to below 14% moisture, and you will have bug-free, mold-resistant grain that keeps for over a year in a sealed bin. No more midwinter feed runs. When you grind or sprout these wheat berries, you are not just filling the carbohydrate gap left by commercial corn, you are building a feed reserve that can be rationed out all winter. Spring wheat closes out the carbohydrate engine, giving you both a corn substitute and a sproutable fodder source that puts you, not the feed mill, in control of your flock's energy supply. Number 5. Winter fat mandate. As the temperature drops below 10 degrees Celsius, your hens start burning through calories just to keep warm. Carbohydrates light the furnace, but it is fat that keeps the fire going all night. Here is the critical truth. Every gram of fat delivers more than double the calories of carbohydrates, 9 versus 4, according to USDA food charts. That means high-fat seeds are not just a treat, they are the biological space heaters of your winter feed system. When you toss whole, oil-rich seeds into the run, you are handing your flock a slow-release fuel source that powers body heat, egg production, and feather regrowth. This is the turning point where you move from fast-burning grains to the caloric heaters that replace the synthetic fat blends in commercial rations. 4 crops lead the charge, each one a portable, storable fat battery ready to outlast the coldest snap. Number 6. Black oil sunflower, Helianthus annuus, is the caloric heater your flock craves when the frost bites back. These jet black seeds pack over 41% fat and 20% protein, according to USDA food data, making them the highest octane energy source you can grow on farm. One mature sunflower head can deliver around 200 calories, enough to fuel a laying hen through a sub-zero night. In late February, start your sunflowers under lights or in a cold frame, then transplant once the ground thaws. By midsummer, you'll have towering stalks crowned with dinner plate heads. Let them dry on the stalk, then cut and store whole. No shelling, no mess. When winter hits, toss a full dried head into the run. The flock will hammer at it for hours, crushing hulls, picking out every seed, and getting both the fat and the foraging action they miss when snow buries everything else. This isn't just feed, it's a boredom buster, a space heater, and a direct replacement for the synthetic oils and animal fats the feed mill sneaks into every winter ration. The more black oil sunflower you grow, the less you'll need to buy, and the more control you'll have over your flock's body heat, feather health, and winter egg count. Number 7. Flax, Linum usitatissimum, is your ace for boosting omega-3s when the feed mill's pellets fall flat. Every tiny seed is loaded with alpha-linolenic acid, about 22% oil, most of it the same ALA that supermarket eggs claim on their premium labels. Add flax at up to 5% of your flock's ration, and you are not just feeding fat, you are changing the fatty acid profile of every yolk. Peer-reviewed poultry studies show that even a 5% flaxseed diet measurably raises omega-3s in eggs with no off flavors or drop-in lay rate. That means you can skip the store's omega-3 cartons and verify the boost yourself. Start your flax under cover in late February. These plants need an early jump to beat the summer heat and set seed by mid-season. By fall, you will harvest slender, rattling pods packed with seeds that store dry until winter. Toss a handful into the scratch mix, and you are not just keeping hens warm, you are building better eggs from the inside out, balancing the fat profile that black oil sunflower alone cannot deliver. Number 8. Grain amaranth, Amaranthus species, is your microseed protein powerhouse for the winter feed mix. While most high-fat seeds fall short on essential amino acids, amaranth delivers a direct hit with 18% protein and a lysine content of 0.73 grams per 100 grams, enough to fill the cereal grain's biggest nutritional gap. Lysine is the limiting amino acid in oats, wheat, and barley, and without it, your flock's feathers, muscle, and eggs suffer, no matter how many calories you provide. Amaranth's tiny seeds are easy to start on a hotbed in February. Just press them into moist seed mix under lights, or plant them in a cold frame. By midsummer, you will have towering plants loaded with thousands of seeds per plume. When harvest comes, shake the seed heads into a bucket, then winnow out the chaff. No hard shells, no fancy equipment. Add amaranth to your winter scratch ration, and you are not just feeding calories, you are building balanced protein, supporting feather regrowth, and keeping egg production steady. This is the amino acid spike commercial feed tries to mimic with synthetic blends, but you can grow it all, start to finish, with a handful of seed and a hot bed in February. Number 8. Safflower, Carthamus tinctorius, brings a different kind of fat to your winter feed game. Where black oil sunflower loads your hens with calories, safflower seeds deliver a punch of linoleic acid, about 38% oil, with nearly 80% of that as omega-6. That is the fatty acid responsible for feather gloss, supple skin, and the kind of yolk structure that holds up through dry, cold months. Safflower thrives in dry, low water plots where sunflowers might struggle, making it a reliable pick for tough corners of your garden. Start seeds in trays under lights in February, then transplant once the danger of frost has passed. By late summer, you will harvest prickly heads full of white seeds. No shelling is needed for chickens. Mix safflower into your scratch ration at 3 to 5% by weight. You are not just feeding calories, you are balancing the fatty acid profile that keeps feathers tight and combs bright, closing out the caloric heaters with a crop that brings hydration and resilience from the inside out. This is the insurance policy for winter feather and skin health. No synthetic oils, no commercial mystery blends, just a homegrown answer to the hydration and yolk crisis. Number 9. Hydration and yolk crisis. When the deep freeze locks up every waterer and the grass is buried under snow, your flock faces a double threat: dehydration and pale, washed-out yolks. Commercial pellets try to patch this with synthetic vitamins, but chickens are built to pull moisture and color straight from living plants and roots. This is where the living vitamin bank comes in. Storage roots and gourds, like pumpkins, mangels, turnips, and daikon, hold water and beta-carotene through the dead of winter, bridging the gap when nothing green survives. Slice open a winter squash and you will see the difference: dense orange flesh packed with beta-carotene, the pigment that turns yolks blazing gold. USDA charts show that these crops outclass dry grains for vitamin A and hydration, two things pellets cannot fake. With the right storage, you will have a root cellar full of natural vitamin reserves, ready to keep your flock's eggs bright and your birds hydrated until spring thaw. Number 10. Winter squash and pumpkins, Cucurbita species, are your living vitamin bank in a shell. When you stack these gourds in a cool cellar, around 10 to 13 degrees Celsius, as Cornell recommends, you are building a feed reserve that lasts 6 to 8 months, right through the heart of winter. Each pumpkin is packed with beta-carotene, over 3,100 micrograms per 100 grams, fueling yolks so orange they put supermarket eggs to shame. Slice open a pumpkin in January, and you are handing your flock both hydration and a vitamin A surge that commercial pellets can only fake with synthetic powders. The dense flesh keeps birds hydrated when waterers freeze, and every seed is a bonus calorie bomb. Just scoop and scatter, no drying needed. Pumpkins don't just store, they transform your cellar into a vitamin vault, letting you bypass the vitamin premix in every bagged ration. This is where winter color and health start, from a gourd that keeps giving long after the vines have died back. Number 11. Mangels, or fodder beets, Beta vulgaris, are the forgotten giants of the winter feed pantry. In the 19th century, these massive roots were the backbone of livestock survival across Europe and the American Midwest. A single mangle can tip the scale at 15 to 20 pounds, and a well-managed plot will yield up to 30 tons per acre. That is more bulk calories and moisture than any other root you will grow for chickens. What sets mangles apart is their staying power. Stored in a sand-filled cellar at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius and 90% humidity, they keep crisp and sweet for 6 months or more, right through to spring thaw. When the waterers freeze and your flock needs both hydration and slow-release sugar, you simply dig out a root, slice it into thick rounds, and toss it into the run. Chickens peck at the juicy flesh, drawing out both water and energy, while the leftover rind enriches the compost pile. Mangles are labor-intensive at harvest. Each root must be lifted, trimmed, and stacked in bins or barrels. But the payoff is a cellar lined with living water tanks. This is how you replace the synthetic vitamin gels and commercial hydration blocks, by storing sunshine and rain in a root as old as the feed mill itself. Number 11. Purple top turnips are your fast-track ticket to dual-purpose winter feed. When you sow turnip seed in February, you are betting on a crop that germinates at just 4 degrees Celsius, weeks before most roots even think about waking up. In as little as 45 days, you get both a leafy green top and a crisp white and purple root, each one packed with hydration and vitamins. The real magic is in the pull and feed routine. Yank up a turnip in the fall, chop it in half, and toss both root and greens straight into the run. Your hands will hammer the leaves for instant greens, then peck the juicy root down to the nub, pulling out water and slow carbohydrates just when the waterers start to freeze. Unlike mangles or squash, turnips do not need a deep cellar, just a cool bin of sand or a pile in the garden, ready for weekly grabs. This is the quick access route that bridges the gap before the hard keepers come out, giving you a flexible, no-fuss way to keep hydration and vitamins flowing right through the first hard freeze. Number 12. Daikon radish. Raphanus sativus var. Longipinatus is the deep taproot soil buster that doubles as a winter feed powerhouse. When you frost seed daikon in February, you are not just planting a root crop, you are drilling mineral pipelines straight down into the subsoil, breaking up compaction and pulling up nutrients that shallow-rooted grains cannot reach. Each daikon root can reach 18 to 24 inches deep, mining calcium, magnesium, and trace elements your flock needs for strong eggshells and steady winter lay. As a cover crop, daikon leaves behind channels that improve drainage and air for next year's grain bed, setting up a healthier, more productive soil system. But the real value comes in the feed bin. Both the crisp white roots and leafy green tops deliver hydration, vitamin C, and a shot of immune support during the winter months when snow buries everything else. Pull a daikon in late fall, slice it up, and toss both root and greens into the run, and your hens get fresh crunch, slow carbs, and minerals, all from a crop that starts working before the ground has even thawed. 10 pounds of seed per acre is all it takes to close the vitamin bank gap and prep your soil for the next round of supercrops. Number 13. Snow survivors. When the ground locks up and your run turns to ice, most homesteaders give up on fresh greens until spring. But there is a class of crops that laughs at the cold, standing winter greens that hold their color and crunch right through snowdrifts. These are not just salad toppers, they are the antidote to winter boredom and the vitamin drought that hits when stored roots run dry. Hens crave carotenoid-rich greens in winter, not just for yolk color, but for immune strength and feather health. The secret is frost sweetening. When temperatures drop, these hardy brassicas turn starches into sugars, making every leaf sweeter and more palatable, just as the rest of the garden gives up. We are talking about crops that can shrug off minus 15 degrees Celsius, standing tall under snow when everything else is gone. This is where you shift from storage to living feed, offering your flock a daily dose of vitamins and a reason to scratch, peck, and stay busy until spring. 4 brassicas lead this charge, each one bred for hardiness and winter resilience. Number 13. Siberian kale, Brassica napus pabularia, is the standing green that laughs at winter's worst. When the rest of your garden has vanished under snow, these broad, blue-green leaves keep waving, even as the mercury drops to -10 degrees Celsius. Siberian kale is not just tough. It gets sweeter with every frost, as starches in the leaves turn to sugar, making each pluck more palatable for your flock. Transplant your starts in late February, aiming for deep, rich soil and wide spacing so the plants can bulk up before true cold sets in. By late autumn, you will have a living vitamin surge. Kale is loaded with vitamin A and vitamin C, right when stored roots start running dry. The trick is the leaf pluck method. Do not pull the whole plant. Instead, harvest outer leaves all winter, leaving the crown to regrow. Your hens get a daily dose of fresh green, and you keep the vitamin bank open until spring. No pellet can match the color, crunch, and resilience of Siberian kale. This is winter's answer to the feed mill's vitamin premix. Number 14. Late-season cabbage, Brassica oleracea, is the green cannonball that keeps your flock pecking, moving, and vitamin-loaded when the world outside is frozen stiff. Picture this. Drive a long screw through a dense 2-pound cabbage head, tie it to a string, and hang it from your coop rafters. You have just built the original chicken pinball, swinging, spinning, and irresistible. Each head lasts about 3 days, surviving dozens of beaks and hours of winter boredom. Your hens get a workout and a steady supply of fresh green, packed with vitamin C and vitamin K, right when stored roots have lost their edge. Cabbage stores whole at just above freezing, 0 to 2 degrees Celsius, 90% humidity, making it a long-haul green in the feed pantry. No chopping, no wilting. Just grab a head from the bin, hang it up, and watch your flock turn winter confinement into a game. This is not just feed, it is enrichment and nutrition in one swing, giving your birds what pellets and powders never will. Number 15. Swiss chard, Beta vulgaris kikla, is the mineral leaf that keeps your flock in steady greens when the cold nips at the garden. Unlike kale, which draws a hard line at deep frost, chard bounces back after a light freeze and regrows within 2 weeks of each cut. That means you can start harvesting outer leaves in early fall and keep pulling fresh greens right up until snow locks the ground. Each leaf is loaded with magnesium and iron. USDA charts put iron at 1.8 milligrams per 100 grams, giving your hens the mineral punch that commercial pellets try to fake with synthetic powders. The texture is softer than cabbage or kale, making it easy for younger birds and molting hens to tear and digest. Plant your chard as soon as the soil can be worked in February, using a cold frame or row cover to get ahead of the late frosts. With a cut-and-come-again approach, you are not just stretching the harvest, you are building a living mineral bank that bridges the gap between the last of the root cellar and the first spring weeds. Swiss chard keeps the vitamin and mineral flow steady, so your flock does not have to settle for bland, brittle pellets when winter bites. Number 16. Brussels sprouts, Brassica oleracea gemifera, are the slow-release green towers that keep your flock pecking long after the garden is gone brown. Each stalk stands waist-high and packs up to 60 tight, mini cabbage buds, nature's version of a winter vending machine. When frost hits, these buds sweeten, turning bitter starches into sugars just as everything else wilts. That is not just a treat. It is a steady supply of fresh green when most flocks are stuck with dried leaves or dusty pellets. Snap off a stalk and lay it in the run. Hens will work it over for days, pulling sprouts loose, getting vitamins, minerals, and a boredom-busting foraging challenge. This vertical feed system means less waste and more safety. There are no muddy greens rotting on the ground and no bolted leaves to attract pests. With a 110-day season, Brussels sprouts demand patience, but they are the last green standing when winter locks up the rest of your feed pantry. This is how you keep the vitamin flow steady right through the heart of winter without a single scoop of commercial crumble. Number 17. Feather builders. When winter drags on and your hens start looking ragged, it is not just the cold. They are running low on the protein and amino acids commercial pellets try to patch with synthetic blends. Chickens need 16 to 18% protein to keep laying and to rebuild feathers after a hard molt. But it is not just any protein. Methionine and lysine are the limiting amino acids that drive feather regrowth and steady egg production, and most grains fall short. This is where the protein spikes come in. Legumes and warm season grains that fix nitrogen in your soil and deliver the amino acid punch your flock cannot get from carbs or fat alone. Starting in late February, you can direct seed or start these crops under cover, setting up a green protein bank that powers your flock through the leanest months. The next 5 crops are your insurance against brittle feathers, egg drop, and the protein crash that commercial feed mills bank on every winter. Number 18, fava beans, Vicia faba, are your cold, hardy protein spike when the feather builder ration needs real muscle. These beans shrug off late winter mud and freezing nights, germinating when most legumes would rot in the ground. With up to 25% protein, fava beans deliver a punch that rivals any bagged soybean meal without tying you to the feed mill. Direct seed them as soon as the soil can be worked in February, or drill them right after the last hard frost for a thick stand that fixes nitrogen and builds next year's soil as it grows. The payoff comes midsummer when the pods swell with starchy, protein-rich beans. For chickens, you will want to crack or cook the beans before feeding, because raw favas carry anti-nutritional compounds that can slow growth if you go overboard. Keep them at 10% or less of the total ration, and you will get all the feather regrowth, steady laying, and egg quality with none of the risk. Shell, dry, and store the beans whole, then grind or soak as needed through winter. Fava beans are the first legume in your protein arsenal, opening the door to a feed system that builds feathers, eggs, and soil, all from a February start. Number 19, winter field peas, Pisum sativum arvens, are your frost seed protein boost that does not need a fancy drill or a perfect seed bed. Just broadcast the seed over frozen ground in February, right on top of the last snow or crusted mud. As the freeze-thaw cycle works, these peas slip into the cracks, setting up a dense green carpet by early spring. At a seeding rate of 50 pounds per acre, you are building a living protein patch that fixes nitrogen for your soil and delivers up to 23% protein in every pod. Chickens will hammer the young vines for early greens, then go after the plump seeds when they mature. For winter, you can cut and dry the whole plant or shell and store the peas for sprouting, giving you a steady supply of fresh, enzyme-rich fodder right on your kitchen counter. Winter field peas are the accessible legume that closes the protein gap left by grains and puts you one step closer to a homegrown ration that keeps feathers glossy and egg production steady. No commercial meal required. Number 19. Lentils, Lens culinaris, are your kitchen counter vitamin spike when winter locks out the garden. Forget field planting. This is the legume you sprout indoors, right in a glass jar, for a living. Protein and vitamin boost. No pellet can match. Start with a cup of dry lentils, rinse well, and soak overnight. Drain, then keep them moist but not wet, shaking the jar twice a day. In just 72 hours, you will see crisp, white shoots, sprouted lentils. Here is where the numbers get wild. Raw lentils run about 24% protein, but once sprouted, vitamin C levels can jump to 16 milligrams per 100 grams, a 4-fold increase over the dry seed. Peer-reviewed studies confirm this spike, turning a shelf-stable staple into a fresh winter green. The protocol is simple, but hygiene is everything. Rinse daily, avoid standing water, and feed sprouts right away to dodge mold. Toss a handful into the run, and your hens get a living shot of protein and vitamins straight from your countertop. This is the fastest way to put homegrown nutrition into your flock when every other green is buried in snow. Number 20. Pearl millet, Pennisetum glaucum, is your drought insurance policy when summer heat threatens to burn up every other grain. Start this warm season grass in trays or soil blocks under cover in February. Germination kicks in fast at 24 degrees Celsius, making it a perfect candidate for greenhouse or sunny windowsill starts. Once the threat of frost is gone, transplant sturdy seedlings out to the field. By late summer, you will have towering stalks crowned with dense, bristly seed heads. Each head is packed with small, round grains, about 11% protein, delivering a balanced energy and protein boost that keeps your flock fueled when the carbohydrate engine from oats and barley runs low. The real advantage is in whole head feeding. Cut and cure the heads, then toss them straight into the run. Chickens strip the grains and peck the chaff, working their gizzards like nature intended. Pearl millet is not just a backup grain. It is a strategic reserve for regions where drought is a real threat and a way to keep your feed system running even when the feed mill's corn supply dries up. If heat and dry spells are your weak link, this is the crop that closes the gap. Number 21. Sorghum or milo. Sorghum bicolor is the drought-proof grain that locks in the resilience your winter feed pantry needs. When every other cereal crop risks failure in a dry summer, sorghum stands tall, stalks loaded with dense broom-shaped heads, each one holding over 2,500 seeds. USDA charts put the energy at 329 calories per 100 grams. Putting it right in the same league as corn, but with a fraction of the water demand and none of the late-season disease drama. In February, you start sorghum indoors or in a heated tray, giving it the jump it needs to outcompete weeds and set seed before the first frost. By late summer, you will have clusters of grain heads ready to cut and cure. Here is the trick. You do not have to thresh or grind. Store the whole heads, sealed and dry, for up to 2 years, then toss them straight into the run. Chickens strip the seeds, working their gizzards the way nature intended, and you get a slow-release carb source that outlasts every commercial pellet. Sorghum is your insurance policy, the final answer to the feed mill dependency game. When the winter pantry runs thin, it is these broom heads that keep your flock fueled, hydrated, and laying strong right through to spring. Across all 21 supercrops, one pattern stands out. Every winter problem, from energy drop and fat loss to hydration gaps, vitamin fade and protein crashes, is solved not by a feed mill, but by your soil and planning. The carbohydrate engine, caloric heaters, living vitamin bank, snow survivors, and feather builders each replace a commercial pellet with homegrown abundance. This is not just feed, it is real independence, rooted in February's frost. Your flock's winter resilience now starts in your own hands. Which crop will you plant first?